In this crash course video, we're going to cover some advanced features in Social Explorer. Whether you're a student, researcher, or just curious about your community, this tool has got you covered. First things first, let's delve into the treasure trove of information provided by the census. It's like a snapshot of our nation, capturing vital statistics about population, housing, and more. Jeff Essick, GIS librarian from NC State, will share what census data is available in Social Explorer. Before we jump into this crash course, we will cover census geographies and how they impact your searches in Social Explorer. The U.S. Census Bureau divides the country into various geographic units to collect and present data. These divisions help organize data in a way that's useful for different kinds of analysis. Here are the key geographies you should know. The broadest level is the entire United States. When you search at this level, you're looking at data aggregated for the whole country. This is useful for understanding national trends and making broad comparisons. The state level provides data specific to each of the 50 states. This is useful for state-specific policy analysis or understanding state-level demographics. Within states, counties offer a finer level of detail. Counties are particularly useful for localized studies, such as public health research or regional economic analysis. Census tracts are small, relatively permanent subdivisions of a county. They typically contain within 1,200 to 8,000 people. This level is great for in-depth neighborhood studies and urban planning. The smallest census geography in Social Explorer are block groups, which are clusters of census blocks within the same tract. They usually contain between 600 to 3,000 people. Data at this level is often used for precise, granular analysis, like understanding the demographics of a very specific area within a census tract or county. Now, how does this impact your searching in Social Explorer? When you start a search in Social Explorer, you can choose your geography level depending on your research needs. For broad questions, start with national or regional data. For more detailed analysis, zoom into states, counties, tracts, or block groups. Social Explorer lets you compare these geographies and visualize data in maps or reports.
First of all, when you go into tables, you're presented with a lot of different table options. And if you scroll down through the list, there's a lot of different data types and data sets that they're providing access to. And this has definitely grown over the years. It used to be pretty much just a census data site. I'm going to come back and talk about the American Community Survey and the decennial census differences in a bit. But I want to just start with going into the decennial census. And of course, you probably know that that is the census that represents the what they call the full count. Every household receives a census. It used to be a form, and then in 2020 you did it online. But ideally, every household receives a survey and fills it out and submits it, and so it's considered a 100% count. And so we can go in to the decennial census section, and then we're given the option of getting census data from the latest 2020 all the way back to 1790. And so that's really valuable to have this access. You'll notice that in around the 40s through about 2000, there are some different variations, and this kind of pertains to how census tracts were introduced in the 40s, but they were by no means comprehensive across the country. And then just different breakdowns of how the census was collected here during these different decades. And so you kind of have to look into that, pay attention to what you're getting, think about what you need, but consider those options. And then I also want to point out here starting with the Census 2000, it says on 2010 geographies. And what that refers to is that the tract boundaries primarily are the ones that will change every decade. And so they're giving you the option of getting Census 2000 data using the tract boundaries for 2010 so that you can do time comparisons and basically normalized data across time. So instead, if you didn't use this, then you would be having to look at you wouldn't be able to accurately compare the areas that are for each decade census. The tracks change, so being able to use a standard geography is a nice feature. I expect in the near future they will add 2020 geographies there as well.
Let's talk about the American Community Survey, or ACS for short. It's like the census's dynamic cousin, providing ongoing data on social, economic, and demographic characteristics. With Social Explorer, you can access detailed ACS data to gain deeper insights into your community. Jeff will now share how it differs from the census and why that
A little
matters.
bit about the differences with American Community Survey, and make sure you know what that is. The American Community Survey is the way the Census Bureau collects data on an annual basis, and they have a much smaller sample size that they send to just a very small number of households for them to fill out a lot of different data variables that's being collected by the census and report that. And so the reason we have 5-year, 3-year, and 1-year estimates is because the sample size is not large enough for the Census Bureau to make annual estimates, especially at a granular level, such as at a county or tract block group level. So they may make 1-year estimates for, I don't know what, let's see what they have, maybe for a county. They've got nation. Oh, they've got county some places. So depending on the size of the place, depending on some of the sizes of these, they may be able to make estimates, but definitely not at the block group level. And so they instead will have, they will aggregate data for 3 years and for 5 years to make their estimates. And so I tend to recommend that people get the 5-year estimate data just because that represents the largest sample size, and especially if you're dealing in an area that maybe has not changed a whole lot, then a 5-year estimate's a really good bet. If you're dealing in an area that has had a lot of change, you may want to do 3-year, but it's just kind of up to you what your variables you're looking for. And of course, right now, if we think back, 3 years ago, we were in COVID, and so there's been a lot of changes in that time. So we're kind of in a funny period with census data as it is, but
And here's where things get really interesting. The demographic profiles offer comprehensive snapshots of specific geographic areas, providing a wealth of information on population trends, income distribution, educational attainment, and much more. Simply select your area of interest and voila.
One thing that came up in registration that I forgot to mention at the top of the session is folks wanting to use Social Explorer to answer demographic and market research questions, particularly with entrepreneurs, business students. Do you have any recommendations for data sources or kind of finding that information in Social Explorer?
So one of the best things they have are these demographic profiles, and they are, I think, kind of analogous to some of the other products, like we had Simply Analytics in the past. You can come into a profile and it says find your zip code, county, town, or place. So I'm from Davie County, so I tried Davie County yesterday and plugged that in. So I guess I need to type it in. Oh yeah, and then we get the drop down, so we can choose that, and it, there it is, a screen that has demographics, broken down. We've got a lot of charts and numbers given here. And then at the top, it's got different sections. So it tells us about, we can kind of bookmark down to the education aspects, housing, and so forth. So that seems pretty useful if someone comes in and wants a summary of a lot of different demographics for a particular county, zip code, whatever geographic area interested in. Also, there's a way up here you can click share and send someone a link to this directly. So copy the link and put it in an email. Also, social media. So that's good. And let's see, I can do a drop down here. So I could do the state. Again, ZCTA, if you see that, that's zip code tabulation area. So you can put in a zip code, or you could, if you see place, zoom out to the places that you've got, and we could choose a particular city, and very quickly it gives us the charts and numbers for that location.
Let's recap. You have access to the census as far back as 1790 and tools for normalizing census geographies, which change every decade. The American Community Survey is another key data source that provides 1-year, 3-year, and 5-year estimates. And finally, the demographic profile search can be a useful snapshot of a community for quick research and comparison. Links to additional training resources can be found in the description below. Thanks for viewing this NC Live crash course. If you are interested in learning more about our resources and skills that are relevant to librarianship, subscribe to the NC Live YouTube channel by clicking the subscribe button below.